In this chapter, Yechezkel continues in its description of the Beit HaMikdash, and in the previous chapter he started from east to west, going through the different gates, and we got up to the Ulam, the chamber before the sanctuary. And in this chapter, it's going to describe how big the sanctuary and the Holy of Holies is, and after that, it's going to describe the different cells that were around it, and in addition to the different cells, there were also different walls, and there was a whole structure which is very detailed. By Vieni, El Heichal, and the angel brought me into the sanctuary of Yomedis Elin, and he measured the side walls. 6 ames reichel miploi, 6 ames it was wide on this side, 6 ames reichel miploi, and 6 ames it was wide on that side. And the thickness refers to the thickness from east to west. I highlighted it in blue. The width of the tent, literally, which refers to the width of the opening that ran from east to west, and we're saying that was 6 ames. Pesach 10 ames, and the width of the door coming into the sanctuary was 10 ames wide. Pieces of Pesach, and the shoulder of the door was 5 ames apoi, 5 ames on this side, 5 ames on that side. The Yomad Arkei Arbaim Amma, now the sanctuary, the Kodesh, its length was 40 ames, and Vereichav Esim Amma, and its width was 20 ames. And I made in blue the width of the coming into the sanctuary. And the point is that on the side, you see there's also another 5 ames on each side, and that is the width of the Kodesh. Oval Lima now becomes inwards. He comes to the partition, which is between the sanctuary and the Holy of Holies. I circled which area that is in the picture. B'yamid ila Pesach, 2 ames, and he measures the thickness of the door, which is 2 ames, because this refers to the thickness between of that partition. Pesach 6 ames, and the door was 6 ames high. Pesach, and the width of the door was 7 ames, 7 ames. Next pasuk. Yomad is Arka Yasimama. Now he measured the length 20 ames. Reichav Esimama, and the width was also 20 ames. Pnei Heichal, and it was corresponding to the width of the Heichal, of the sanctuary. And the angel told me, this is the Holy of Holies. Now, looking at the back of the Holy of Holies, the Kodesh HaKodashim, the Yomad Kirabayis 6 ames, he measured the thickness of the wall, which was 6 ames, and I wrote 6 over there. The Reichav Atzela, and the width of the cell was 4 ames, was 4 ames. Saviv, Abayis Saviv. It was all around the house, the walls of the Kodesh HaKodashim, the Heichal. All that was, we had these cells and this wall all around it. And we're going to see later that these measurements are only true about the bottom layer of cells. We're going to see that there are several layers of cells, and as it gets taller, the cells get wider. The walls, it takes part of the wall, the 6 ames wide wall. Now, tzelaot, the cells were cell upon cell. Shalish, Shleshim Pavim, there were 33 cells. That was the sum of all the cells. And this was because in the north there were 5 cells, in the south there were 5 cells, and in the west there was 1 cell, and there were 3 layers, so that was 33. Abayis Bakir, and they went into the wall of Shalabayis, which was to house that's lies to the cells something around lias achuzim to be held. And what does this mean? If you look at the pictures, I showed two pictures that on one side, the side of the cells which are not towards the Heichal, the ones that are further away, they are the floors. They are held into the walls on both sides, as opposed to the side which is close to the Heichal. We say the cherubim, they are not held in the walls of the house, which means if you look on the side closer to the Heichal, you would see that there is a ledge from the wall of that's between the Heichal and the cells, and it is on this ledge, but it's not stuck within the wall. It doesn't go into the wall, as we could see on the other side, and it's being held in such a way. Unlike we're going to explain later on, this that we said in the earlier pasuk, that the cell was 4 ames and the wall was 6 ames, that changed as it started going up, and it started taking more of the wall. The wall became 5 ames, and then it became 4 ames, and the cells became wider. It became 5 ames and 6 ames, so the cells started getting wider as it went up. And the cells became broader, as I was explaining before, that instead of 4 ames, it became 5 ames, 6 ames at each level, and there was a spiral stairway, for the cells, for the Heichal was surrounded by successive levels, and as we're explaining, that as you went higher, the cells became wider. Some of the bias, they went around the house. The widest part of the cell structure was on top. As we said, 6 ames. So how would you go up to the highest from the lowest? That was through the middle cell. This was through the spiral staircase, as we explained. Gave us saw the height was all around the same. The commentaries explain that it was 100 ames. Mostly the foundations of the cells were a full rod thick, which is 6 ames, as we could see in the picture. And as the wall went up, it got less wide, and the cells became wider. 6 ames atzila. A 6 ames space was the width of that foundation. The width of the cell's wall, which was outside of the cell, facing outwards, was 5 ames, and I highlighted that in blue, so you can see that first, right outside the Heichal, there are the cells, and the walls after that, 5 ames. There was also an open space at the end of the temple cells, and I highlighted that in yellow. And between the chambers, was a width of 20 ames, around the house, all around, and I made a little bit of a black line to show where that is. So basically there are chambers to the north and the south, and there was a 20 ames of space in between them. There was a door from the cell to the empty space that we spoke about before, and I made a blue line for that area. One door to the northern entrance to Pesach Chaldar, and one door to the southern entrance. And the width of the place of this empty space was Chamish Ames. Saviv was 5 ames around and around, both for the northern side and for the southern side. And the building which was built alongside the main structure, Pastor Hayom, at the western side, was 70 ames, which refers to the structure with the cells. The Kir Habinyan and the wall of the structure, Chamish Ames, Rechav Savi was 5 ames, and with 5 ames all around. And the length was 90 ames, which refers to with the munach, with the place of empty space, going from east to west. Umrada the Sabayis, and he measured the house. Erech Me'amo was long 100 ames. V'agizra v'abinya v'kilusah, the main building, the cell structure, and all its walls. Erech Me'amo was 100 ames. And this refers to the length from east to west. Before we said it was 90. That's because we didn't put in the place of the chalifas, the place of the knives, which was another after the munach was another 10 ames. So if you count that from east to west, there's going to be 100 ames. And now we're going to measure from north to south, and the width of the house by Gizra. Lakodim Mea Amma. The main temple building to the east was all together 100 ames. And the reason why it's 100 before we said it was 70 is because the Beit HaChalifas, the knife depository, added another 15 ames in each direction, and therefore, if you add that, now the width is 100 ames. So it comes out that it wasn't 100 ames by 100 ames, because at some points only the more eastern part was it 100 ames wide, 100 ames long was in all directions from east to west. But when we're talking about north to south, it's only on the more eastern side. And you could see in the picture on the right how it looks. That you see it's not exactly a square, and this was to fulfill what it said, that it should be like a lion, which was wider in the back and shorter in the front. Now, Madat Erech Binyan, he measured the length of the structure of Pnei Gizra to the structure, which was on its back, which means he went back to the west side of the structure, with its corners, with the knife depository, the Beit HaChalifas, altogether was Me'ama, was 100 ames, and he counts the Heichal Apnimi, he's counting the sanctuary and the halls of the courtyard altogether. This is referring to from the east to the west, but it's referring to on the southern sides. Even though we measured on the northern side, which is exactly the same thing, now we're measuring again on the southern side to see that it's 100 ames. Asipim v'chalenim hatumes. Now there were doorposts, now with windows, atikim, square pillars, saviv v'shlashtim, around all the 3 areas. Neged asaf, schif eitz, saviv. Outside the doorpost there was wood, paneling all around. And this is also true from the ground of the Heichal until the place of the windows. It also covered with this, and the windows were partially covered. Now it continues to detail this wooden paneling that al me'ala pesach, to above the doorway, ad the bais apnimi, till the inner sanctuary for the chutz, and to the outside, it's called a kir saviv saviv, to all the walls all around, baklimi, olachitzin, midas. Both in the Holy of Holies and in the sanctuary, they're all covered by these wood panelings, which were cut into a certain measurement, and on top of that, they put gold, because you couldn't put the gold directly on the stones. And these wood panelings also cherubim, they're engraved with cherubim and date palms. There's a date palm between one kruv and the other kruv, Ushnayim Panim a kruv. And each kruv had two faces. And one face was an image of a lion, and the second face was that of a person. There was a face of a person towards the date palm on one side, and there was the face of a young lion towards the date palm on the other side. Also, it's called it was ingrained around the entire interior all around. Noretz and Pesach, and it was engraved this way from the ground till above the door. Kruvim, Atmayim, and Suyim, the Kruvim and the date palms were made. The Kir Heichal, this was also true for the wall of the sanctuary. Now, another point, the Heichal was used before. The sanctuary had square doorposts as opposed to round ones. With an Kodesh, Amare, Kamare. And from the entrance going into the Holy of Holies, the appearance was like the appearance, which means that when you saw the glory which emanated from the Holy of Holies, this was similar to the vision that he saw with the Ma'aseh Merkava when he was on the Har Kvar, which was a prophecy that he had previously. Now HaMizbeach, the altar, which refers to actually the table, which the shulchan is just like the Mizbeach, which atones. We say it's eight shalish ames gavoya, was wood, 3 ames high, v'arkish 9 ames, and its length was 2 ames. This included its corners, its surface, and the sides, which were all made of 8 of wood. And the details of how a shulchan looks, you can find that in Shemais. Describes that. And the angel told me, this is the table which is before Hashem. Now we're going to talk about the doors that go into the sanctuary, into the Heichal. And we say Shtaim Dlasis the Heichal HaKodesh. There were 2 doors that were going into the sanctuary, and there were 2 doors that went into the Kodesh. So it comes out that there was double doors, one on the inner side and one on the outer side, and this is something you could see in the picture. There were 2 doors for each set of doors. 2 swinging doors. 2 to one door, and 2 doors to the other one. And you could see how it's opened, that it's split, and you could see that it has 4 doors in here. Basuya land engraved upon them Aldasas Heichal, to the doors of the sanctuary, Kruvim V'Simodim, or Kruvim and date palms, Kasher Asuyim, like curious, just like we explained, it was done to the walls of 8 Opnei Ulam Mibachutz. We're saying there was a thick wooden beam going to the front wall of the hall towards the outside, and that was to reinforce the structure. So basically, because the doors were so high, there had to be these pieces of wood. They were going from the wall of the Heichal to the wall of the Ulam, and you could see, if you go out of the wall of the Ulam, you could see these protruding pieces of wood, and that was to hold the structure from falling under the enormous height. And there were narrowing windows, the simorim and date palms, and from both sides, on the shoulders of the hall, on the sides. And he also showed me the tzelaot sabayis va'ubim. Showed me the casings of the temple and the beams. So the tzelaot sabayis, the casings, that was like the panels that upon that the beams would rest, and the ubim, the beams, were the beams that were on top of those casings. So this was also something that the angel showed Yechezkel.